Jumping right in. Let's get it. Manhattan prosecutors will begin presenting Trump case to grand jury. This is the case that this is part of the case. I don't think they're even bringing the whole thing. This is centered just on the Stormy Daniels stuff. When we kind of got a good laugh when Alvin Bragg was dropping. It looked like he was dropping the case a while back. Toy Mafia, yo, what's up? It looked like he was dropping it, and I was kind of laughing, like, they can't get him. I called him Teflon Don. I call him Notorious Don, and I was just joking all these nicknames for him. But they brought it back. They got the pressure back on him. The Manhattan District Attorney knows there's nothing here other than maybe a misdemeanor. Can you imagine going after a former president for a misdemeanor? But he's under pressure. He got put in that position to do this, to be anti-populist, to go against MAGA. You better get your butt and do that. Otherwise, they're in that dirt. They're in that dirt digging for stuff on Alvin. They already got that booklet. They got the binder of receipts, and just allegedly. And if you don't do the bidding, I need to get that drop. What is thy bidding, my master? If you don't do the bidding of your master, you'll get got. Greg Wilson, good morning. People up in the morning? What y'all doing up in the morning like this? Well, East Coast, if you're East Coast, it's 7:40. I'm gonna go for about 50 minutes. Let's get into it. The Manhattan District Attorney, they on Monday began presenting evidence to a grand jury about Donald J. Trump and his role in paying hush money. This is via the New York Times. To a prawn star, Grandpappy Dodd, you know how he rolled back in the day. He was the man. Just hush money to a prawn star during his 2016 presidential campaign. Now, looking back at it, Paps, I don't know, would it have mattered? I mean, they had him on tape literally saying, grab him by the and it didn't matter. Now, who knew what was going to matter, what didn't, and it doesn't matter to me. That's how different my needs are from politicians from the 80s. Could you imagine a politician in the 80s and 90s having a tape come out on them, the Access Hollywood tape, saying that I wanted to grab them by the and still be fine? Nah, things change. People are more concerned about their freedom and basically throwing a figurative throwing of a Molotov cocktail to a place that does not respect them. Laying the groundwork for potential criminal charges against the former president in the coming months. So they're going forward with it. I am surprised. What you're seeing is New York versus MAGA. New York is the capital of shill. New York is the true capital of the United States of America, not D.C. New York is the capital. It is the financial capital. That's why 9/11 was an attack on New York, primarily. It is the wishes of the cabal through New York, the finances, the politics, versus MAGA. That's why they got Steve Bannon up in there. If you are MAGA, you need to get the hell up out of New York. If you're a populist of any sort, you can't be in New York. Libby Emmons from, who I think very highly of, from Post Millennials, I believe she got the hell up out of there. Because everybody was like in a concerning manner, not just like putting milk in the chat and Timcast. And guys, would you stop that? Be more respectful. Summertime's going to be here sooner than later, and let her be comfortable without the milk emojis. It's more than just the milk emojis. People were honestly, and me legitimately, as funny as those were, legitimately concerned for Libby and being there. Project Veritas, I believe, do they still have an office there? Why? You don't want to be there. Let's just make sure that that's clear. You don't want to be in D.C., you don't want to be in New York. There's a separation that needs to happen here. That's why Don Dada now chooses his home residence is Mar-a-Lago, not New York. A conviction is not a sure thing. Of course not, because it's craziness. In part because a case could hinge on showing that Mr. Trump and his company falsified records to hide the payout from voters. So they're trying to go at this with a felony charge of some type of breaking election law. That's what they're trying to go after. It's a low-level felony charge that would be based on even the New York Times, this is from the New York Times, even the New York Times is saying would be based on a largely untested legal theory. This is the reason why Alvin Bragg dropped it in the first place. He's like, this is madness. The case would also rely on the testimony of Michael D. Cohen, another one of those people that were in Trump's circle and fell out of Trump's circle. Trump has a lot of them, and they all got the figurative knives out, trying to come back for him. Trump's former fixer who made the payment and who himself pleaded guilty to federal charges. So I just want to throw this out. I had a question here. I didn't have time to dig for the answer. How is Trump paying for this? Is it through his election? Can he pay for the lawyers? The reason why I'm asking is because this is an attempt to suck and drain the resources out of somebody running. Doesn't matter what he want to do. Steve Bannon. They want to suck, drain time, resources, get him off his show. He has to go meet with lawyers. He has to pay millions for lawyers. Trump's got to pay millions for lawyers. And it's a frivolous thing. And look, there's not going to be sanctions here, obviously. But when Trump tried to fire back legally, they just went they dismissed sanctions or whatever penalties against the lawyers. Don't let it happen again. Loretta Height, what's good? Loretta says Trump was a good president. He sure would enjoy his policies again. Build a wall. Put our countries first. Yes. Milkcast. Casual goes. It's too early in the morning. Behave yourself, young man. What's up, Fred the Show? I got to hit you up, man, to get a time to do a non-political show. That was so much fun. Appreciate you, Casual Goats. Deck Gmail, steal all the money. Mad Cow Mark, morning from Australia. Man, all the negative stuff I might say about YouTube, like I would never be able to connect with somebody in Australia. Thank you for stopping by. So this is what they're doing here with it. I'm just going to go through a little bit of the case here. I covered this, that they began presenting evidence earlier, but it was more broader. That's why I was like, whoa, they're narrowing it down now. In the early weeks of his tenure last year, Mr. Bragg developed concerns about the strength of the case. Even Alvin Bragg looked at it and said, we're going after a former president for this? Nah, I'm good. And then all of a sudden, they wrote a book on him. One of these dudes, one of them who was in the office underneath Bragg, Mark Pomerantz, resigned. It was highly critical, and he's like that tattletale type person who goes to they know that the masters want this. It doesn't matter how frivolous it is. The masters want it, and they want it timed right around the election. And so Pomerantz resigned when Bragg said, I'm not doing this. It's stupid. And he resigned, and now he wrote a book, People versus Donald Trump, detailing his account of the inquiry, basically a book that's going to have Alvin Bragg didn't have the courage. Alvin Bragg didn't do this. Donald Trump is the worst thing in the world. Bragg was brought into this to be against populists, and he came into office and didn't understand his job. He did do these woke policies that make crime a lot more appealing to criminals, but he didn't understand that going after Trump in New York, that's part of your job. So they're going after him. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go after him. This is not a normal jury. Anybody done jury duty before? Anyone been on a jury? I've been on a jury. Well, I've done jury duty multiple times. I've only been on a trial once. I was an alternate jurist. So as an alternate jurist, you've got to go to the trial. It was so boring. It was some type of club fight in Cleveland, Ohio, with girls, and I forget what the charges were, but it's funny. I was actually on one of the young ladies, actually the defendant in the fight. I forget what the charges were. I think the defendant wrecked the other girl or something like that, but she was found innocent. But she actually stayed in my apartment complex. I actually seen her all the time in the elevator. But that I stayed in an apartment complex in Euclid, Ohio. It was, I mean, it was thousands of people on there. It's one of those Democratic hellholes where they come through every election season trying to get ballot harvesting because you've got thousands of people within a very small area. It's surreal to live in that type of environment. But she lived in the park, not just in it, thousands of people. She was right in my building. I seen her almost every day. And she was very attractive, very, seemed like a really nice young woman. But, stuff happens at the club. But you have to go as an alternate juror every single day. And then after the trial's done, if all the jurors are there, then they just you get up out of here. You don't even get to deliberate. So could you imagine serving for 6 months? That's the worst. Now they give you a little stipend. They pay for your lunches, I think. But, that's a disaster. 6 months serving for this? Oh, man. And then they taken the jury pool from Manhattan. So I went and looked and said, how did they vote in Manhattan? 86%, 86.7% Biden, 11% Trump. Good luck with that jury, Grandpappy. It ain't going to go well. They would convict him of anything, literally anything, like D.C. The company's former chief financial officer was also involved in reimbursing Cohen. So Cohen paid off Daniels, and then the company's CFO paid off Cohen. So I don't think there's any debate there that Trump paid off the Stormy Daniels. And looking back, it's just so weird. You paid her off, and the story came out anyway. I don't know, what did you pay her off for? And then what was really that bad about the story? I know it's a flaw. We're all sinners. I know it's flawed, but we're talking about Trump here. Nobody cared about this. This wasn't like Mitt Romney. If it was like Mitt Romney, it would have been a little more awkward, I think. But nobody was voting for Trump for his virtue, like for his faith. You remember when they asked Trump, I always bring it up, remember when they asked Trump what his favorite Bible quote was? They're like, Trump, what's your favorite Bible quote? It would be kind of like asking me, what's your favorite Bible quote? I'd be like, his answer was so funny. I don't have that. I have it somewhere on my computer, but I can't find it quickly. I love that clip. Unless Weisselberg agrees to corroborate Mr. Cohen, so Cohen's saying that he paid me and I paid her, then if they don't have somebody to corroborate it, then Cohen is not a legitimate witness. So they need more than that. But there is some other circumstantial evidence. Trump called Mr. Cohen a couple days before they wired the money over. You could infer whatever you want. I think it's done. He paid it off. There's no debating that, for me at least. Definitely not that Manhattan jury. That's a wrap. But I believe that's just a misdemeanor. For Mr. Bragg's prosecutors, the core of any possible case is the way the Trump organization reimbursed. This is where they're trying to go with that low-level felony, is that he paid $130,000 to Ms. Daniels, and it's about how the company recorded it internally. According to the court papers in Mr. Cohen's federal case, the company falsely identified reimbursements as legal expenses, and that's all they're trying to go after. Violations of that law can be charged as a misdemeanor. We're going after former presidents now. We should have 3 special counsels, and we're going after former presidents for misdemeanors. And when Tim Pool says civil war, people act like he's crazy. What do you think this is? What else would you call going after a former president for jaywalking? Essentially, what would you call him? What would you call it? I don't know what else you could call it. Prelude, antebellum. To make it a felony, Mr. Bragg's prosecutors would need to show that Trump falsified the records to help commit or conceal a second crime, in this case, violating the New York state election law. Basically, I don't even know what they're trying to say. That second aspect has largely gone untested and would therefore make for a risky legal case. All they want to do is tie this up in the courtroom. Supreme Court would never go for that. At least, luckily, we have a Supreme Court that wouldn't. Mr. Pecker. I was supposed to introduce Mr. Pecker before I talked about Mr. Pecker, here's Mr. Pecker on Monday. One of the witnesses is Mr. Pecker, the former publisher of the National Enquirer. The reason why I wanted to include this is Mr. Pecker was an ally to Trump. And this is another part of it, to go up New York going after Trump and making sure they don't want any populist allies out there. So what they wanted to do was kind of catch this story. David Pecker went out there and said, hey, Stormy, you got this story. Come to us at the National Enquirer when he was the former publisher. We'll pay you 100, I believe it was 150. I got to look that up. Ex-publisher was set to meet with prosecutors. That's him right there. And they said, hey, Stormy, come to us. We'll pay you for the story, and we'll stop the story. We won't run the story. We'll play for exclusive rights. But then Stormy was like, okay, you, National Enquirer, paid for the exclusive rights, but somebody still got to pay me off personally. And then David Pecker was like, I'm good. I gave you money for the story. You're going to have to holler at Grandpappy Don for that. And then that's how Michael Cohen and them got involved. They want to punish anybody who would be a Trump ally. So here you see Pecker paid $150K to him. And that's all I wanted to talk about with this. What's the takeaway? It's a risk. Even what I'm doing right now is a risk. If any company, any major company that I work for would see me do that segment, it could be curtains for your career. It's that crazy how things are right now. And you know what? I'm at that point where I don't give a damn. Let me know what you think.